He's over there. You got it. You're good. That's Debbie Ortega and Robin Kinich not listening to the homeless community.
DOA is all the units, and many other excuses, okay? And when I was in okay? And I'm facing it. Everybody else is hiding from it. Even the police, okay? We're sick of it. And I don't think any human being should have to go through what we do just for survival. There's no cause of our own, okay? And our very government is breaking too many laws for this, and it's actually been causing the situation and not correcting it. And you're wasting money pretending to address the issue. I already know what's going on. You can't lie to me. I used to be a business owner. I had absolutely everything private fields. Okay? And I was working, I had a house. Till COVID hit, I upset a whole economy, everything. And now I'm out on the street. Okay? It's a mess. And I still created a ministry. And I'm still out here trying to help them. Okay? And I've donated everything that I have. Okay? Instead of being bought paid for help. I'm donating my time, and I created it, okay? And I've got solutions, but nobody wants to listen. Tiny little community, all right? And I'm actually creating ideas like this. You know, some other things. To generate the income from the buyer. Instead of having to waste the taxpayer money. After the CIA created this problem. We can do that about that.
Look at that sexy shirt.
How we doing today? I'm in I've been homeless for 5 years, born and raised in the general area. A lot of most of the things I want to talk about is we all out here trying to get jobs, but when we leave our camp, we come back to the clothes we wear, what I'm wearing right now. And when you talk to someone about it, you know, I don't like to say the name, the GP, which is very, very dangerous. Shocking with 25,000, getting away with $3 a big things that somebody told me. Now, they are killing people that are being these camps. And the safe environment is our great. We want to come out of that safe environment. You know, whole new world. And I followed up in the spokesman for I'm trying to control a whole bunch of kids that are way lost in the camp. How to come back and go to work and have a safe environment to come back to. That's the hardest part that we have right now. My mom is in the area, she's off me on the 31st. That's big, and everything to find out like I got things more often. And I get out there, if it ain't there, 6 months hungry, I go to the hospital tomorrow. That's the hard part of trying to come back to society. I would love to have my women back. I would love to be speaking with him. Another individual, that's all that kind of stuff. We won't vote it, but we all have something to say. And 7,000 people out here saying it, but nobody's really listening. I don't see the time. What we need, God bless you, please. Open doors we need to see back to where we were, not what we were. Thank you.
For folks that don't have a place to sit, we opened up the room next door. It's 432, and there's a big screen in there so you can hear what's going on in here. So right next door.
Camera.
And then we also have 291 on the third floor.
You have her move that way. So her shirt is seen when people are speaking. She should be sitting that way a little bit. So you're on the camera. Oh, absolutely.
Hi, my name is Mark, and I really say it's a good day to see all of you, but it's really not. I've seen some of you all here for many, many years through this decade of chaos that's been created to protect business interests and not human lives. So I'm just here today to speak to what many people cannot. I've been homeless and now unhomeless. I've been able to see both sides of what happens to people who try to protect human beings over business interests in corporate money. And I've seen what happens to the homeless who are treated less than gods, who are treated inhumane, treated less than human beings. It is chaos. Chaos. And we want to talk about we're making the city better. All these little, minuscule, shitty things that you all do, let me just say it's not good enough. It's really not. Because the shelters have not improved. The cops have not improved. Things have not improved over this decade, trying to make this apparent law a better place so you can sweep human lives under the rug. It's unacceptable. And it's disgusting that you are all monsters, especially all of you who have been here for the entire decade that this has happened. It's unacceptable. Like, you really just don't care about human lives. That's all it is. That's how you show yourself to be, is that you don't care about human lives. You've done nothing to move the needle throughout the years. And there are so many people who are going to come up here and tell you that they've been beaten, they've been hurt, they've had their possessions taken. These are people who are trying to build themselves back up when society has kicked them and you have done nothing but beat them even more. And it's unacceptable. It is unacceptable. And there are so many things that you could do to actually not band-aid the problem, actual solutions to actually present to the community. Like actually having homes for people, actually not letting these corporate interests, these big construction conglomerates and landlords who have completely taken over our city just run the city, because we know they do. Probably most of your paychecks are coming from these people. Okay? I guess that hasn't been said. But as I continue on, I know I'm running out of time. All I know is people are trying to make their lives better, and you constantly kick them, and you constantly belittle them and think of them as less. That's what you've done by not improving the city, not improving things for the homeless population in this city. It's disgusting, and you should all be ashamed of yourselves when you try to go home and kiss your children.
How you guys doing? I ain't been a member, guys. I don't know. You know that. I'm homeless. And I'm done too. Yeah. I love doing what I do. These people are good. Man, I don't know that thing. I tell you too. Smiley says, see these people, whatever still they did. You didn't like me over the family now. They grieve. Something trying to put together to get it right, but they saying, but it ain't my job to do it. Clearly right. They agree. Yeah, man, crying. What's that? I ain't never done it. I'm gonna it up. But you know what I'm talking about? You get a new scratch today started. That God did. You say America about kids, right? We got a place downtown, you know it's called the Beak. What they do? They get the Beak out the window. And guess what else they get to do? They smoke them out in the hood. I'm sorry. I try to fix that. You're too. You let them kids die because they own it. And you know why they own it? You don't know if that child ain't out her room, ain't got witnesses, and then, you know what they do. But when the child get out there, they ran away, they come in. I'm not going to fight for them. You blame army because I'm 57 years old. You give it to them. You're wrong for that. And I ain't mad. I'm shouting because God. You know the best thing about it? My best friend, 5
I said, Kim, don't beat that business, Sam Davis. I worked to get paid $6,000. I walked away from this guy. Go ahead and go for me. Because he asked two other people. I walked over here. You right there, right down. I'm going to give a about that. You know that first check you $7,000? Tell them what I did. I threw it to the streets. I live this. But you live it. You correct me if you want to do this. The gunshots in my face. I don't have to tell you about that. I'll do it. What do you want to do to me? I'll walk for God and I'll walk for them. You know what I'm saying? And once again, this thing, man, what hurt me was the way they tell you that, man, another man talking about Thursday, he goes, none of it tonight. That easy. What you gonna do when you leave here? It ain't my job to get on you. It's my job to show what's bothering you. You know what I'm saying? I got checks. I don't care about that money. I'm 57 years old. I stand for something. Instead of fall for anything. And y'all just can't fall for blues. That part right here. Sink the woman, the mayor, anything, whatever it is. And you let them do it. I'm not telling you to go something. Y'all got to look. Find something for them to do. When we grown, we outplay the kids. That's what y'all got. You don't sit there and blame people for it. You got a chance to make something that they go to. You got the Denver basketball nuggets. You got them people that go right down. That giant player walking through that room. Changed one time. Steve McLean did that to mine in Illinois in 76. I'm in project. My brother, I'm 10 years old. Race car. I'm gonna give you this. You killed my brother.
Hello. The name on my paper says Asterisk, but I go by Indigo. I am LGBTQ, and I've just recently moved here from Nashville, Tennessee. And my experience with sleeping outside in Nashville has been painful, to say the least. People in Nashville treat you like garbage. And not let alone if you're not LGBTQ, but especially if you're LGBTQ. And from what I've heard about here, it's not much better. And I'm worried it's going to go the same path as it did in Nashville, where people don't treat people with compassion, regardless of where they're living in. That's all I've got to say about that.
Hello there, City Council. I, like one of the previous speakers, have experienced both sides. The one that I'm not going to try to top, I don't remember his name. But I have seen how people are treated. I have seen the issues that it caused. I think in this courtroom alone, we can see so far the anxiety and the anger that it causes in people, the trauma that we experience from our police, from just being unhoused in the cold, in the wind, in the rain, in the snow. And the worst part about it is, once you do become that, if you will, a step above, you're going to just be serving people that you will almost never be. It's almost impossible to become that, because we have kept wealth in the same 5 families, 5 to 10 families in America for generations, and that needs to change. We need an equal distribution of resources. These construction conglomerates that were mentioned before throw away thousands and millions of dollars worth of things that can build things. There are empty lots all over the city and in the suburbs that could be used for camping, for affordable housing. The throwaway materials from the construction sites that the rich people stay in, that they pay for, can be used to build affordable housing or free housing, shelters that are better, that are up in the luxury housing, just like what those building materials would have been used for if they weren't thrown away. Because that's what they do. They just throw them away. Because trying to recycle them back into another system is just too And people are overworked, everyone, even people who make six figures sitting at a desk. You're probably overworked. You're probably doing someone's dirty work right now. God willing. I think that's all. Thank you.
Those unhoused people we couldn't find.
The reason why all these people are not here is because of the lack of protection, safety, and resources once again. People die every single night. We hear about it from someone right now. But if we don't have the resources, as she was saying, the generational wealth that some of us may have lost, most of us have children, some of us aren't with us. I personally was with the family and it took us about an hour to find a bathroom that was left because to go in a place that is not absolutely disgusting. Once again, we're here to beg you to beseech all of your innermost thoughts, beliefs, and conceptions about reality. Yours.
We're going to try to get one more speaker in, and Joe Brown. Angel Brown? Angel Brown, we're going to go ahead and go through the list here so we can make sure we get a chance to see. Gerald Thomas. Gerald Thomas. Gavin Moore. Gavin Moore. J.P. Kowski. J.P. Kowski. Dusty. Dusty. Okay. Matthew Elizabeth. Matthew Elizabeth. Corey Finley. Corey Finley. Crystal Duncan. Crystal Duncan. Howard Terrell. Howard Terrell. Zach Stillwell.
All of these names that you are naming are people who have said that they wanted to speak. They shared stories, and they told us if they couldn't find somebody to protect their property and make sure it wasn't taken from them, then they would be here.
Calling out the name, you're just wasting time.
All of those
No, you're just wasting time. You're just wasting time.
That's exactly what's happening.
Go ahead. I want to make sure there is somebody here. Maybe we'll allow them to speak. Brittany Hand. Brittany Hand.
We're trying to tell you.
People shelter and then
Calvin
We are trying to tell you that we came as a mass group. We came as a mass group, and what you need to do is quit calling our name. We took a roll call out there. No, we took a roll. No, you taking time away. What I'm saying right now, you taking the last 3 minutes of our time, along with the first 3 minutes of our time. No. I'm telling you, we came together. We all came together. This is us. This is us. All freaking name on there is us. What do you not understand?
Set us free.
What do you not understand? That's what you do not understand. Let my man speak. Yeah, each one of y'all, no, each one of y'all give a slow. All the damn name for no reason.
move on because public comment is over at this point, and so I want to make sure that we can let the rest of the viewers and all of you also know when our next public comment session is, because we do have a legally required meeting tonight where we have 3 required hearings as well. And so I would ask that you
Those meetings come before
be
the home.
quiet in the chambers for right
Meetings
now.
come before the home.
Legally
In other words, what
required
you're saying,
meetings.
in other words, what the hell you saying, here's the fact that they don't give a damn about us. That's what you're saying. You are doing the same thing that your ancestors did. This is, no, you don't understand. I'm telling you, you do not understand what's going on here. These people want to speak. They don't have tomorrow. They might not even want to be waking up tomorrow morning. Or next week.
Its entire homeless population in one-bedroom apartments.
This is ridiculous.
Denver is throwing away taxpayer money,
1,700 people.
giving contractors money to provide services to homeless people and not housing the homeless population. This is absolute insanity. You must claw back some or all the money you are giving to organizations such as the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, but dozens of others, and build appropriate housing, dormitories, transitional housing, smart apartments, and administrative. The city doesn't want to join its hands even with ownership, but it needs to acquire the wherewithal, the institutional wherewithal to staff dormitories, first buildings, and staff them, and take all of people off the street. It's so simple. You can do this. You could have done this years and years ago. This is not an intractable problem. You should take priority, overwhelming priority, over the homeless themselves. And that is the fact. Those are the facts. The people who think about this issue, not just the people who are victims, but the people at CU Denver and some other nonprofit, the Common Sense Institute, came up with a report. They asserted last October that Denver is spending twice the cost of renting one-bedroom, market rate, one-bedroom apartments for every single homeless person in the city. And homeless people live in our urban easements instead. Draw back from this policy. What mass insanity has gripped you that for 10 years you have dispersed so much money to not the most useful purpose? Denver's Road Home, when we argued against the urban camping ban at its inception, Denver's Road Home is spending 2/3 of its budget on hotel vouchers. You've been subsidizing businesses. You have not been helping the homeless. Start spending at least most of the money you are now wasting building appropriate housing. It is that simple. Please.
Now, Casey, homeless, unhoused. And y'all gonna tell me I want to take 30 minutes? 30 minutes? No, you got to Everybody here is unhoused. Everybody here is unhoused. We need to understand that people count. I'm sick and tired of y'all. No, stop, y'all. 30 minutes. 30 minutes of what? Yes, it is 30 minutes of what?
People are dying and you don't even care! People are dying all the time!
Come on.
You have got to listen to us!
Yeah, wait. Say something. Yeah.
You don't care! There's no real passion!
Yes!
See?
Yes, did you hear what she said? That's not real! Did you hear what
That's not that.
Miscarriages! Miscarriages!
Karma will get you! Karma! Karma will get
Stop speaking into
you! We
the
need
crying.
to leave you alone!
Awesome child.
Quick!
That's good.
And my screen and continue with the testimony. Let's go to everybody.
Okay.
I was saying though, these people, you might.
It's shut off, Jerry.
Okay, anyway. Okay.
Great.
Okay. The point is, everyone in here has been either unhoused or houseless now. And the point to the matter is, you can see the one that care. You can see the one that do not care. 13 city council on one stage. You tell me what is wrong with this picture. They don't give a damn about us.
Exactly.
And the best thing for us to do is support the one that does and try to get as many people to flip this damn thing. Because until we flip this shit, it's the same old shit is going to happen. The same shit. And you know how they say?
Mayor Jerry!
What we gonna have to do? We are going to have to take over this shit. Everyone, I'm sick and tired of saying, come downtown.
Same old business.
Same old shit.
Yep.
You were living in Texas, house is going up, nobody going into the house. What kind of shit is that? It's 7 It does not.
By the way, this is what they did. They changed the channel on the TV. Jerry.
Every single one of you needs to take it upon yourself to go register 100 people within the next year to vote, no matter where they are in Denver. Because every single one of these people is elected by voters or by the voters who don't show up. Because when people don't show up, this is what you get. Yeah, they rely on people not showing up. So that the ones who want to show up, who want the developer money, who want us to waste money on the corporations, so that they're the ones who start. And so us, we have to pay attention and we have to play their game. If we want what we need, we have to show up and vote. There are 5 seats on this dais that are open, for sure, but all the rest of them are up for re-election too, including me. So if you guys are not happy with these people, get amongst yourselves, split it up. There are 11 districts. 11 districts in this city. There's 13 people here, but there's 11 districts.
Oh, we will. We will We put it on the ballot, we'll vote it in.
You know why? The lies and the corruption in this country.
And this poor family who's got something going on too. Cut the plastic on YouTube. And by the way, great job. You can register to the cross street where they normally find you.
That's right.
That's right.
I want to name a couple of things really fast. Can I name a couple things? So you're going to hear this saying a lot that this camping ban hasn't been enforced over the past 10 years. That we use a light touch. That it's not actually about criminalization. You know, it's not about putting people in jail. It's about connecting people to services. That's exactly what they said 10 years ago in these very chambers when they were passing the camping ban. Was that this is a law to help connect people to services, and it's just going to help put people in shelters. It's not going to put people in jail. Well, 10 years later, we have that police data that tells what this law is actually doing. And you know what this law is actually doing? It's putting more people in jail than it is in housing. So there's been 519 people arrested because of FPA related to the camping ban. The camping ban contract, they're arrested and put in jail. 519. Now, how many people do you think have been given housing through a camping ban contact in this last 10 years? Yeah. None. There's nothing recorded. There's no record of that. Who knows? There's no record. They don't do that shit. Now, how many people do you think got contacted for the camping ban over this past 10 years? 27,425 houseless individuals. 27,425 houseless individuals have been told, you're breaking the law for surviving, you have to move, or else you're going to face arrest. When you're sitting outside using a blanket.
If you're standing up, you have a walkway to sit down so that there's no reason to have to get you guys out.
All right, so I want to name that. I want to name that data because if you hear anything from the city that says that this law isn't being enforced, that this is about light touch, connecting people to services, tell them that's fucking wrong. Look at your own police data. There's 27,425 people who have been contacted and pushed around our city in this past 10 years. This is enough. 10 years, too many. Let's get this law off of the books.
That lady did, is that awesome? She worked 8 years for free. It's her first year. And what the best part of it, first and second free. For him or us, we got a connection. They baby. I got to live this again. This is nothing wrong. That child, I got brothers this way. I got to live that again. Through them. And you know what? And she did it from home. That's why I humble myself to her. For homeless people, you don't know that ain't tough. You up there saying, oh, no, it's tough. Listen, she ain't been, she been under. They come in there and beat her up. You don't have to sacrifice my life for free.
Let's give Teresa a hand.
But you know, you're a woman, right? I tell them, you can bridge that bridge. These women, they think about that. They ain't gonna
Not going to. We're not going to wait a year. Oh no, time's up.
Have me before you in there.
Yes, we got to keep it going. We need to keep it going.
No, we're actually, have everybody spoke? The one spoke?
No,
The one speak?
I want
Go ahead.
Because if you guys don't stay in your seats, then you're breaching the
Yeah.
protocol of safety.
Okay.
And giving people a reason to come in and get you out. If you want to stay in our seats, and we do one at a time, testimony calmly, then there's no reason for them to come and kick anybody out, and they got to stay here until they decide to adjourn the meeting.
The testimony chair. This is the testimony chair.
Come on now.
Marianne, go ahead.
Good evening, Council and all watching. Mariana Thompson with House Keys Action Network, Denver. The subject is the urban camping ban. Council, you have heard me speak, beg and plead with you on this subject over the many years to no avail. 10 long years of traumatic, sociopathic in nature atrocities to our unhoused brothers and sisters. Not one of you will submit a bill to repeal this. Why, Council? Well, you all in these 10 years will go down in the history of this city, and your great-grandchildren will be reading about this lack of humanity. What I have to say next is highly triggering. I am permanently housed at the residence at Franklin Park, where south of the premises is a majestic pine tree. 3 indigenous elders would sleep, clothed with heavy winter gear on the ground. They called me sister, identifying me as native. I fed them for weeks. One morning as I was walking to the bus, it had snowed that night. I looked over and found them frozen. Icicles on their goatees, breaks of all their heavy winter gear. District 6 District 6 cops were doing their job, right? Because it's illegal to lay on the ground when you're homeless. I ran to my building and got the maintenance man, motioning him to come with me. I was in shock and could not speak. I pointed and was screaming hysterically. He called the police and I went to my therapy appointment. Daily as I pass that tree, inside of me I say, you should never have had to die this way. And I will keep fighting. I will never forget you. Constantly reside on stolen land. Stop the symbolism of land acknowledgement, which doesn't mean nada, zilch.
Fucking buffalo.
All of you, including the mayor, are responsible for this atrocity and many more. Denver has led the way for this crime against humanity to continue, and now Aurora is following. Have a conscience and quit gambling with people's lives, playing games for your political career, and do the right thing. Repeal the inhumane urban camping ban. Hashtag Denver is inhumane. Thank you.
I was given permission to speak about this person's story. It's an incredibly difficult story, but it's one that's powerful and needs to be heard. Yesterday was Mother's Day. I'm sure everybody up there was home with their families, with their children, celebrating the blessing it is to be a mother. This individual wanted it to be known today that she would have been a mother. She wants to be celebrated, but instead she's fearing the pain that the sweeps and the instability have caused 2 miscarriages. Twice having that hope, having that feeling that you're about to bring someone into the world, feeling part of it. Walking around in the cold and being unprotected while pregnant, and twice that was taken away prematurely. When is she going to get the chance to have that? How many other mothers-to-be have we stopped that from happening? It's not right that only people who are housed have the privilege of being able to find safety and peace to bring life into this world. I really wish they had heard that. But you can't fucking blame her for how heavy she's feeling and how hard it is to come up here in front of a bunch of strangers and to share that story. How personal. Thank you.
Let me see if there's a Costco bag over there. It's got my other phone in it, the Costco bag.
Even though this was in Nashville, I would like to speak about a friend who didn't have to die. I considered him a friend.
Costco bag.
We knew each other from feedings in Nashville, and it was one night the shelters didn't open. You know what happened? They found him dead in a porta potty, frozen to death. This is what Nashville has become, callous and cold-hearted. I'm fearing that this was the same for Denver. So please, 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 for the love of God, end the camping ban for everybody's sake. Please. Thank you.
So my name is Annie Kurtz. I'm a resident of Denver and an attorney at the ACLU of Colorado. This message was for a city council that I thought was at least willing to listen. I'm going to say it anyway in the hopes that you do eventually. This week marks 10 years since a few people in this room, sitting in your seats, under this roof and surrounded by these walls, passed DRMC 3886.2, the ordinance that overnight deemed an entire class of Denver residents criminals, for no reason other than that they lack the means to access housing in this increasingly unaffordable city. An ordinance that makes it a crime for those forced to sleep outside to use a tent in the snow or even a blanket in the cold. It says if you don't have the privilege of a roof or walls or a house to go home to, you aren't welcome here. 10 years later, we're long past pretending that this ordinance was intended to do anything other than drive people experiencing homelessness out of Denver, or at least out of sight. When council was considering this ordinance, one person remarked that people surviving outside are a blemish on our city, that we should not let them tarnish the image of Denver. My unhoused neighbors are not blemishes, they're human beings. And what tarnishes our city is the last decade of choices reflecting Denver's public policy that some of its residents are disposable. Through the last 10 years of move-on orders, tickets, trucks that were meant for garbage but drove off filled with people's homes and precious few belongings, Denver has shown itself disturbingly willing to disregard the civil and human rights of its unhoused residents. That is, unless and until a court orders it to do otherwise. In 2022, you have the power to make better choices than this council did in 2012. Trying to punish people out of poverty is cruel and unconstitutional, and it will also never work. I wrote here that I hope you choose something different, something kinder for Denver's next decade, but it looks like we will just have to fight for each other. Thank you.
Finish of minds is that we are not homeless, we are outsiders. If you go outside your back door, your front door, you're in the same place that we are. We are not transits, and we are not to be forgotten. Because forever being, my whole family deceased, 169 people on the last of the Davises. But I will stand strong until somebody recognizes that we are all one. God is right there. All one. Amen. God bless.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm speaking on behalf of my partner who has been homeless and has been diagnosed with mental ill for several years. I myself have mental illness, and I understand what it's like to have such a disability and try to keep a job and such things. To have housing available in the city of Denver is and has been a wonderful thing for him. To have it taken away or to put more restrictions on it it could truly lead to, he's also a drug addict. He's currently using drugs and can't be here right now because of it. I want to say that the homeless that are out on the streets in the city of Denver right now wouldn't be out on the streets if people cared more. There's a type of care that we need. Like, people are more willing to discuss what types of care are available. And I think that the problem could be easily solved. Thank you.
Tyler has another testimony. Is this even on? It ain't on. All right, now, speaker. Where's the camera at?
Right here, right here.
Oh, okay. All right. So, this is a testimony. I had just gotten a job in which I was getting paid a little bit more than the day labor agency that I can go to. By the way, it's very easy for me to get temp jobs because I got a criminal record and a big mouth. Can I get a hallelujah, amen? So I got in with a company that's a little more professional, and I was getting paid a little more. And I was on my way to one of the places that I got sent to work. It was my second day there, and the boss made the start time 5 a.m. I don't have a vehicle. I was coming from Westminster to downtown Denver. At 5 a.m. in downtown Denver, the only places I found open was a 7-Eleven. And I had the food stamps card. So I went into the 7-Eleven, and I already felt the eyes on me. Who's in 7-Eleven? They're looking at me. The two male cashiers. And I asked them about pricing on an item. They were rude about pricing, and I think they wanted a reason to do what they did next to me. He said that my EBT card would not cover my hot coffee. As I was in the midst of telling him, he cut me off, that I wanted to put the coffee on a separate transaction. So I repeated myself louder. And they said, "You're not getting to do this, get out." So me, pissed off, cut off from resources. Yeah, I got cut off from resources, so I was a little pissed off. Chips, soda, on the ground. One bounced up and hit one of the cashiers in the face. I didn't know that at the time. But apparently Denver police ruled it self-defense on their part that they needed 3 people, the 2 male cashiers that were in there when I walked in, and the female building security to give me chemical mace. No. Hold me back, and one of the male cashiers strike me with a fist. Little bitch couldn't even break my nose. And they sent me out like that with a lot of chemical burns I couldn't see, and because of that, I lost my job. I went on to the job site thinking someone would help me, and nobody helped little Tyler. Tyler couldn't control his emotions, is what was said to the job site super. So guess what? I'm back at the temp agency making $2 less. Again, here I am, trying to pick myself up, trying to move up, and it being easier just to stay down.
I had the exact opposite happen. My boss got in my face. All right? And I held my temper. And I did 12 years in Arizona prison for weed. Okay? When they lay us down with the murderers. Anything over 5. Yeah, I held my temper. Just like I held my temper when a cop pulled a gun on me, too. In front of the Catholic Church on Colfax. Right? I presented the evidence of breaking the 5 commandments of God and perverted 6, and they wonder why our world's the way it is. They said I was threatening to blow up the church. And have Denver cops put guns on me. That's what I'm saying. This whole town.
Are you sleeping?
Am I sleeping?
Are you sleeping? You're trying to blow up the church?
No, that's what they're saying. I come out there, I got no weapons on me. You know what I'm saying? And they carry Glocks, okay? They got no safety. They don't want them fumbling with a trigger and a safety when they come out after us. That's why there's so many cop shootings, you know? And we're tired of it, okay? Just between a soldier and a warrior, soldiers, they can kill and die indiscriminately and fall back on orders. A warrior has a heart, a mind, and a conscience. And we will lay down our arms for our life, for cause and other worthy lives. And we're fearless, and guess what? We're coming for you liars and thieves. This is the year. Just so you know. I'll put it out there. And I'll go right up front. God bless you.
Does anybody else want to speak?
Come up.
Yes.
My name is Brian Loma. I'm an activist, resident, employer in the city of Denver. I'm part of a group that came off of the end of Occupy. Occupy Denver was the last city to fall to laws that restricted people from protesting 24 hours a day, taking space and holding it. Many say the urban camping ban was actually written to end these type of protests under the guise of clearing out unhoused on the 16th Street Mall. This Sunday, we celebrated or mourned, we recognized the 10 years of feeding the unhoused. We feed people at 16th and Curtis. It used to be a safe place where women could sleep at night, free from sexual assaults. Public parks kept the bathroom open 24 hours a day at Skyline Park at 16th and Arapahoe. Since the urban camping ban was enacted, a website called citydata.com indicated that the per capita reported sexual assault in this city nearly doubled. Is it a direct result? I can't say that, but it's not a good statistic to find. When I represented Lisa Calderon running for mayor of Denver, I worked out of the offices at the Laundry on Lawrence. Regularly, I would find police officers at 10, 11 o'clock at night moving people off the sidewalk. The one that sticks in my head the most was a woman who had utilized all of her hospice allotted housing. She was dying, but didn't die quick enough. In her little electric motor scooter, in her diapers, in a tent that covered all of it, the police made her get up and move along to nowhere, with no services being offered, no options available. I do not authorize my tax dollars to be used in the sanctioned murder of the humans who live in the city. But I also recognize that this is not Denver's problem alone. When I visited my sister on Mother's Day just yesterday, getting off of I-25 in Parker, Colorado, there are people hanging out at the expressways, asking for money for food. It's a regional issue, it's a national issue. And the most eloquent words I heard tonight were from somebody whose language I often get irked by. And it's that we spend more money dislocating, moving along the people than if we were just housing them. To the Himmelman family, I don't know why you guys were here tonight, and you didn't look very happy when you came in, so if there was a loss, we also feel your pain. We have thousands of people dying every year. And every year that somebody lives on the streets takes 5 or more years off their life. When this building was built and the flagpoles were put in outside of it, there were 4 water fountains, 2 for each of the flagpoles. Water being such an important aspect of Colorado life and of life in itself. Now there are 6 or 7 water fountains between here and the Colorado State Capitol. There were about a dozen on the 16th Street Mall. You can't find water unless you have money. You can't use the bathroom unless you pay for access to it. And our public buildings, you can't even get into because to carry your property so that you can go to the bathroom means you have to leave it outside with somebody else or leave it unattended. I've watched for years while the jailers take people's property because they left it outside to show up for court. I've watched people's things getting stolen to the nth degree. And in the newest egregiousness of our city, if you live in your vehicle and your vehicle is at a tagged traumatic displacement, aka homeless sweep, you must leave the city. Because once your vehicle is tagged at a displacement site, your vehicle can now be permanently possessed by the city, stolen for being on the streets. Once you're tagged for being at a site, being cleansed, right? That's eviction and that's theft of your property, of your housing. It's time we change these laws. It's time we speak and use our voices more clearly. That's all I have to say.
I would just like to follow up. It's just a shell. It's not a real newspaper. It's just a sham. But it's one of the few forums, branded forums, that remains that concentrates local news. So people talk about the news. Of course, people can talk about the news on Facebook, on any number of pages on Facebook. But it's still a central place that people go to exchange views, sort of a public forum. But there's a huge number of very nasty fascists. That's the only way to describe it. Many of them self-identify as landlords, unsurprisingly. And I just wanted to, I mean, it's not good for me to be there, but there is between the perceptions of the people who are having to live on the street, and the horrible experience they've had, the experiences they go through, and what conservative people who've made their way and own their own home think, there is a world of difference. And in its most extreme, it's people who propose murdering homeless people, jailing them en masse, driving them to the edge of town. Their solution, they have no solutions. They're completely inhumane. I think that the way forward is to focus on this data. We finally have institutions that should count for something. I mean, in particular, CU Denver, saying that Denver is wasting tremendous amounts of money. It's not housing homeless people. We experienced this when the camping ban was enacted. The system was already in place. And everyone, Brian included, I mean, it's become the norm. It's become the ground of the way the city does things, is that it doesn't establish a new department. I mean, we have had several new offices established. We've had Office of Housing Stability. In reaction, it is an attempt. Those are an attempt to get ahead of criticism more than they are about helping, in my judgment. But we aren't hiring new people and establishing new departments. No, we contract with private entities to provide the services. Because that's capitalism. That's supposed to be the way that works best. And this is summed up by the Silver Cave, public-private partnership. You've probably seen this. PPP. And that is the way that the city wants to do everything. The city, 10 years ago, the city was, I went to one meeting, the Special Issues Committee, subcommittee of the City Council, and the head of Denver's Road Home gave a report about what Denver's Road Home was doing, and it was eye-opening. Denver's Road Home was spending about 2/3 of its budget, as I recall, on hotel vouchers for homeless families. Well, in one sense, that's great, getting homeless families off the street. On the other, in terms of city expenditures, that's money that's not coming back. That's one night
or a week or whatever, and isn't establishing housing. But he also just offhandedly, he remarked that the city was selling a 36-unit apartment building that it owned outright, that it had been using for transitional housing. There was no explanation of why the city was doing that, and why would the city do that? Well, there isn't really any good explanation except that the city, philosophically, it's a philosophic problem. The city doesn't believe it should own the housing. It thinks that things are arranged better when private groups do it. Well, that we can question the wisdom of that. And we now that CU Denver and the Common Sense Institute have said that we're spending twice the cost of renting every homeless person in the city their own market rate one-bedroom apartment, we have some real ammunition, and that's what we should focus on. Now there is a problem. There aren't fiscally conservative voters as I see it anymore. They've all gone away. No one seems to be concerned about how the city spends money anymore. We have Trumpanzees on the right, and we have the pseudo-liberals, the zombies and the Semandals, as I call them.
I'm losing voters.
The Democrats that moved here from Maryland, many of them, just I had to go to Maryland, I don't know why. They're young Democrats who think that Denver must be a progressive place because it has a Democratic establishment. They're zombies. And the people who've made their way and own property, you don't like this, I'm losing viewers right now. People who own their property and are self-satisfied Democrats, they are sleepwalking through life. Some names. Anyway, these people are not affecting change. The zombies are too busy rushing around trying to avoid joining the homeless population. They're trying to make their rent. They don't have the time to investigate where Denver went wrong. So it's as much as we like to inveigh against the urban camping ban, it is the wrong way to go. This is something else people may not want to do. Why should we not inveigh against the urban camping ban? It's very simple.
Only one council member
3 years
left.
ago, after losing 3 years in a row in the General Assembly, the Right to Survive was run as a bill for 3 years running. And it was sent, it was sent to the Kill Committee. There were 3 times I was paying attention. The House, State, Veterans, Military Affairs, anyway. There is a Kill Committee, and it was sent to the Kill Committee and killed each year. And then it was run as a municipal initiative during the last mayoral race. Well, unfortunately, public perception overall, despite the experience of homeless people, despite the trauma, despite all the pain, the people overall are not aware of it. Voters overall think more in terms of, I think, this is just my idea. They think Denver is generous. Denver spends a lot of money on the homeless. We care about the homeless and we spend money on the homeless. And there are problems, and undoubtedly there are problems, with the way the money is spent. This is what the average pseudo-liberal thinks. And so, but where the city overall has moved over the past 10 years politically is important to be aware of. And as much as it is, you may dislike it, the city has moved in favor of supporting the urban camping. Of course, I say, it was never an issue put before the public. It was a referendum. It was an issue of the downtown Denver partnership, as I understand it, pretty much. And Albus Brooks, late of who occupied Candy's seat before she edged him out, fortunately, by a stronger finish than many suppose. A very pleasant surprise. Albus Brooks was responsible for putting the urban camping ban forward. It was never voted on by the people. But the people have come to see it as a bulwark against homeless people moving into their neighborhood. And I, this is a sense I've gotten by my various things I've done. One of the things I did was canvass for, what was I canvassing?
300.
I was canvassing.
For 300.
Was I canvassing for the Right to Survive? I don't even remember.
Yes, you were.
I was out there. I was in Southeast Denver. I caught some woman. It was election day. She'd just come back from vacation. No, she didn't know this was election day. She hadn't got voted. I explained the situation. I laid it all out. And when I was done,
What I was.
That's right. But it's that in approaching the issue, the urban camping ban, for better or worse, is perceived to be, there are people who are completely schizophrenic. It's perceived to be absolutely essential on the one hand, and it's perceived to be ineffectual on the other. It's obviously not working. People complain about homeless. They complain about homeless people being treated. The fascists say feces, needles, you're assaulted, they say you can't step on, which is 16.
It's not about perception, it's about reality. The camping ban has killed
If you want to make progress, politically, you need to understand how the mass of voters think, however unpleasant you may find it. I am not expressing my own thoughts. I'm expressing how they think. So the woman that I canvassed at her door, I turned her out to vote. How did she, when I was done talking to her and doing my best, which is not necessarily the very best that can be done, I was convinced that she was going to go vote for Michael Hancock and against the right to survive. We've lost, the important thing to know about that vote on the right to survive was that it was 83 to 17 against. Now, that the right to survive is not the same thing as the opposite of the urban camping ban, but we should understand that voters in this city, they tend to be more conservative, they tend to be people with more money, they tend to be more conservative, they tend to be older, there's various things you can say about them. 3 years ago, they repudiated the right to survive, and by that action, I say that they affirmed their support for the urban camping ban. I'm sorry, I fought against it, I'd do anything to turn that back, but so we shouldn't butt our heads against the wall of the urban camping ban, but urge sound policy to end homelessness. And that, the way forward is pointed by the report last year from CU Denver, the Common Sense Institute, spending all this money that people live in the street. Instead, spend some of that money on building actual housing. The city can build housing. It does not have to contract with intermediaries first. It can build it. That's it.
Housing not income.
Housing not income.
I do want to add something because he's not wrong.
It's painful.
And it's important to recognize this, right? So there are voters, the majority of Denver voters, who feel like, yes, the homelessness situation has grown so much, it's so visible now, and it feels like very unpleasant to them. I'll use that word. But what they don't understand is how government works. And so the opposition really gets away with making it as terrible and as deadly as it is by not solving the problem with common sense solutions. City council doesn't have a lot of power over which solutions we implement. Those are powers that the executive branch of government, the mayor, gets to decide. And so when we're making a strategy about solving the problem, what it requires us to do is understand both branches of government, what powers each of them have, and how to push on both at the same time. City council has power of the purse strings, the money. The mayor has the power over the ideas, the programs, the people we work with. And so we need to make sure that we're not just replacing these seats, we have an open mayoral seat. And so when we're hearing from all of the people who are going to run for mayor, we've got to understand, what do they care about? Is this a person who represents the Chamber of Commerce, who cares about profit and business? Is this a person who cares about oil and gas? Is this a person who's been a career politician? Is this a person who pretends to care about social issues and says all the right things and then votes the wrong ways? What kind of person is running to represent us? We have to do the work too to get more sophisticated about seeing through people. I would say the unhoused are probably the most sophisticated at detecting bullshit. And you have to help other people in the city of Denver do that. And so when Randy talks about being on the doors, canvassing, or trying to convince voters in the city to vote a certain way or understand the problem a certain
can convince the entire city to vote on one thing. We have common ground on a lot of different things, even if someone doesn't like someone in a tent. We have common ground on, we don't want people in tents. The people in tents don't want to be in tents. We don't disagree on that. We're just disagreeing on how to solve the problem, and we have a lack of knowledge about who gets to pick how to solve the problem. So what I would say is that tonight, you guys have been able to not only talk to me, but talk to each other and build power. That's what this is always about. It's about building power. Tonight, you guys have occupied our house because you may not have your individual houses, but everyone needs to know that this house belongs to all of us. You all to be here tonight, and for the rest of the week that you all have things planned to talk about this issue and the 10 years of doom, it's about building power. It's about teaching people how to understand their power, how to step into it, and how to make that power contagious, activate other people's power, so that when we have that window of opportunity, we shoot our shot. We can't get lost on this council, because it breaks my heart to say, I don't think this council is going to repeal a campus ban.
Not gonna do shit.
I can introduce a repeal tomorrow, and you still will have people on this dais who will not repeal that ban. But if we have a strategy about how we convey that to the rest of the city, how we show the rest of the city that these people don't want to solve the problem when their opportunity is in front of them, then that gives us some more ability to build more and more power to shoot our shot when the time comes. So tonight, what I encourage you guys to do, I'm going to ask my sheriff colleagues here who we should give a hand to, because they don't follow what they're supposed to follow when getting people out of here. They let you all.
No, we can't take myself straight to jail.
Keeping us safe. People recognize when safety is really being threatened. And tonight it wasn't being threatened. And they understood the assignment, and they let you guys be here in solidarity in your house to do what this house was designed for us to do. So I encourage you guys, after I let them know that you guys have completed your testimony and they can invite the council members back to finish their business, I encourage you guys to stay here so that they have to look you straight in the eye and know that you guys came to do business. And you did your business whether they listened or not. And we go on with our business of power building, and we look to fight another day. How about that?
Candy for bear! Candy for bear!
No, that's the wrong one.
We got something else to say.
Huh? She's about to say that we're done, so we're done.
Candy, thank you for being here, for having some integrity, unlike all of your colleagues. But I do also want to say, she is wrong that all we can do here is vote and push these people to make sound policies. They're not going to, and we don't have to stop at electing people who actually care. We have to use every tool in our toolkit. We got to give these people no rest, no quarter. We got to be disrupting their meetings. We got to be showing this city and making our voices heard, because we will not accept genocide. We need to burn down their houses if they won't do this shit. Because people are dying in the streets. We need change now.
Say it like it is, sister. Tell it like it is.
Hey, but one thing though, what y'all need to be doing is showing up here every Monday. If they can't want to do the job, they will be sitting out here.
Yeah.
I mean, we also have to make sure. We also have to make sure that these providers that are getting millions and millions of dollars every year will start providing housing at expedient rate. Also, making sure that instead of they paying their bills, their mortgage, instead, how about putting people into housing for once? You know, all this money they get, they buy a hotel that may be open for 6 months, may be open for a year. But at the same time, they're displacing people. You know, they're still displacing people. You know, shelter is not the answer. SOS camp is not the answer. home for those who want homes is the answer for those.
Yeah.
Those who want to live in an RV, that is for them. Those who want to live in a tent, well, they should be living in a tent, but they should have access to all of Denver, not just certain areas. You know what I mean? So, in other words, what I'm saying is, we're going to start doing this every Monday. We up here anyway. We come up here anyway. So, I'm down. If y'all down, all right? This is what we're going to do every Monday from now on. We are going to be very disruptive in a very respectful way. And if they choose to walk out, you know that your tax dollar that you paid is walking out the door. It's not listening to you.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you for staying. Thank you. Thank you for everything. All right?
And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes today's public comment.
All right.
I'm Joe Rubino, Denver Post. How are you?
Brian Loma, great.
Will you spell your name for me? I've seen it.
Loma.
Brian, B-R-I-A-N.
I-A-N, yep. Loma.
Gotcha. Yeah, I showed up just as you were speaking. I've seen you at some events before.
Yeah, I'm at Cut the Plastic.
Cut the Plastic.
Yeah, that's my YouTube, Instagram, Twitter.
All that stuff.
All that stuff.
Cool. I'm going to grab a couple other names, Brian.
Please do. Yeah, before they all leave. Good job, Kenny. Brian Loma.
Yeah,
I thought we have, but I hadn't been sure, so. Busy night, a lot of life. You know, we're having the reality. I want to catch council coming back in for sure.
I got pictures of Flynn walking out.
Nice. Yes. Camera in my hand. So that's why I was being conscientious. 2 things. And look at that sexy shirt. Isn't that great? I managed to hotwire my shirt printer today so I could get those made. It's a great t-shirt. I print in full color. I've made a few campaign shirts along the way. It is.
I'm not sure I won't wear a shirt that much, but I have.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to my quiet, peaceful seat. Well, that's Liz. Are they not coming back? Are you waiting to haul us all away? Okay. Well, you know, it's possible. Man, folks, we're just still waiting on council to come back. This is quite interesting.
I just want you to know they were playing reruns of Buffalo Herd.
I know.
Literally, I'm literally in the rescue mission, like literally waiting on the bus. My feet, I can't feel my feet because we're not allowed to wait inside. We have to be crammed outside like freaking cattle and then shipped off.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. I'm just still waiting on council to decide to come back into the dais, folks. For those of you who are just joining us,
If it's so important,
we had an hour and a half long public comment today instead of the usual 30 minutes. Hey, you're on live camera.
6497.
You're live.
Okay. Quickly, you were right down to the what's your name?
So the reason for the urban camping ban is to hide the unhoused off the main business tourism streets while preventing 24-hour protests that shut down businesses, government, or other activities by making it illegal to reside in a place for an extended period of time. FYI. We still waiting on council though. We thought they'd come back in.
I can't, there's no way I'm gonna.
By the way, friends, don't forget to join us on Saturday outside. We're gonna have a concert. Okay? We're gonna have music and food. Saturday, music and food. And if you do nails, come give a manicure to an unhoused person. If you've got hair, come cut somebody's hair. We'll have water and shampoos and all that stuff available. On Mondays, sometimes we have spa night. And so, because we're out here outside while council's inside.
They're gonna wait until everyone leaves, apparently.
I have that feeling, yeah.
But that's not council. I've lost track of who the council members are, obviously.
Well, you've got Kinich and Ortega who are laughing and talking to each other while Jamie won the last election beating Veronica Barella.
Who?
Veronica Barella. She beat Veronica Barella in the runoff.
Barely even remember her.
You carried for her as well.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
Yeah, you did.
No.
I know you did.
I had never had any literature for her, no.
I'm sure you did.
No, I didn't. It was all Jamie Gillis.
Okay.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's funny to have, before I say that they're getting through legally required business, then just abandon the room and not come back.
I know, and they have 3 required hearings tonight. So we're wondering if they're going to come back for their required hearings.
That they were forced to.
Nah, the police officer's still sitting here pretty chill.
I don't understand what the police have to do with it at all, except that if things happen, they would be the ones.
They could have kenneled us all and hauled us off to jail today.
Right, but it's not.
It would have been the councilwoman, the president of the council's instructions. Just so.
Right.
She got up and left instead. She got up without adjourning council. She abandoned the dais, yes. So folks, we're just hanging out, waiting. Go check out tweets by Katie Blakely. I wasn't disruptive. I just sat here and filmed it. That is what I have to do from now on. I can't either. I also can't make up that woman whose memory haunts me. Right? Yeah, and the buffalo and the garbage instructions. Like, people who are watching city council live should see what happens in city council when council gets up and walks away. They should have seen all of this, right? Thank you, and I appreciate that, but I don't have the best microphone. Jesse Paris complains about it all the time. We try. So even the Himmelman family is patiently waiting.
They were obviously.
They're still here.
Oh, well, Joel Clark was talking to them, wasn't he? Joel, I assumed that they were here to.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Robert Chase Show.
I assumed they were doing something to benefit Joel and Clark. I assumed that Joel and Clark did something for them and that they were here to say thank you.
Well, Himmelman is the name of somebody who's been recruited to the Broncos this year.
It sounded slightly familiar.
But she was crying, so I imagined that there was a loss in the family or something. I didn't know. Maybe they were friendly with the people that got killed this weekend.
Why would they be paraded before council?
I don't know. You could ask them. So it was a loss. And thank you, Robert Chase, for going and asking. Huh? No, but there are some rules of decorum that we must follow. I mean, it is a high vaulted ceiling that we're in. So we're going to check to see what's going on. Hi. Well, how are you?
Very wife that they are committing suicide. I mean, sleep deprivation of
This is the overflow room. Oh, look who's on the planning issue from June 2019. The dirty bird of the urban camping ban, Albus Brooks himself. That's so funny.
Sustainability is something we pride ourselves in here.
not yet with
This is just my class.
Still looking for counsel, can't find them. Don't have any idea where they're at. They're just all over. Yes, that's a plastic bottle. Yes, I hate the fact that I'm using it. But yes, I need to drink some water. So I'm gonna do that. So yes, we're still patiently awaiting the return of our illustrious city council. I think that's a city attorney. You can come on, I'm not gonna bite.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Huh? Around 5:32, like right after, as soon as council got up, it was off. Could have been 35, I'm not sure. I didn't keep an exact count. I'm just intrigued. There should be a homeless protest on the lawn of the White House. That would be a great idea. We're still waiting for any signs of council.
Continuing programming for the supportive housing day for performance program citywide.
Oh yeah, there's amendments on for homeless services, but it all goes to the corporations. Do we know what the administration rate of Colorado Coalition for the Homeless is? 'Cause, you know, they say like 80% of our dollars go to services versus administration fees. People got really angry at places like
That's a good
Goodwill
question. That's a good
because
question.
like administration fees were like 80% versus 20% going to services.
There's there's more than
Ladies
one
and gentlemen, the Robert Chase Show.
There's nonprofit sites that have this all data, right?
It's on agenda to give more money to
The Colorado Coalition for the Homeless.
Coalition for the Homeless. So I brought up the question.
Yes, just so.
What's their administration rate?
Yes.
I don't know the answer to the question.
I understand.
That's why I asked it.
Yes, it's a good question.
I don't have any further
I just
information.
think it's a good question. But what I always see, the fascists, or rather some of the right-wing posters,
Some people call the black blocs and the anti-fascist fascists because they don't know.
You're right.
So you should be more particular with your description.
Some of the right-wingers. Anyway, it's claimed that he makes over $300,000 a year, and that his directors all make well over $100,000.
It's possible.
He's got like 15 directors.
It's possible.
He's supposed to make $115,000.
Can you actually send an email with that thing? Dang.
I'll see you, Brian. I'm going to make my way back to Aurora.
Oh yeah. Good luck. Have fun on that R line, taking the train.
No, I'm not in the car, but it's back in. I have to walk to Capitol Hill. I parked in Capitol Hill and walked in.
You're not that far off.
No.
The elections building has like $3 parking for 2 hours.
I should.
$2 parking for 3 hours, something
Does
like that. Yeah.
Is there a garage there?
No, it's behind the elections. There's like 15 spots or so.
Off of Bannock?
Right off of 14th and right off of Bannock, right on the other side of the elections. Yeah. Look at this. Two prospective councilwomen hanging out with one another.
Two prospective councilwomen who aren't trained to be in chambers right now.
Yeah. Nice bag, by the way. Will you tell us about your beautiful CityCast Denver bag? What is CityCast Denver, for those who don't know, following along at home?
It's a podcast. It's a daily podcast. It's like 15 minutes. If you ever listen to New York Times The Daily, it's like that, but for the city of Denver. It's hosted by Bree Davies, who's one of the best journalists in the city. And if you get 10 people to sign up for their newsletter, you will get a free bag. And I'm getting, okay, this is like a precursor to a post I'm about to do, but I'm also getting a Denverite t-shirt, and if Axios or Westward could make me some like athletic shorts, then I could have a full-blown local journalism.
Connor, are you listening?
Connor, come on. Alvarez? Just your local journalism news junkie.
All right. Well, I'm still waiting for council to come back in, which is the only reason I'm still online, folks. Because we're wondering to see how long it's going to take them to re-enter the chambers.
That's funny. Well, I brought my popcorn.
I'm here to follow. I come with or without them. I was here last week, and I was here the week beforehand. I was streaming, you know. I'm putting a camera on it. I know. Seems like it's a bunch of different like snippets that they're popping. Recycling, sustainability, the Buffalo, wash your streets. By the way, if you don't get text messages, then you should get text messages for street sweeping notices. All rise. You got it. I thought my all rise answer was pretty good.
Thank you for joining Denver City Council's regularly scheduled Monday night meeting. I'm Council President Stacey Gilmore. And tonight's meeting is being interpreted in Spanish. Alejandro
Other house people are not welcome to re-enter the stadium. Alejandro's speaking in Spanish, but we can't hear him because he's only talking to those who are online.
Alejandro, thanks for being here. We're going to ask you to please introduce yourself and let our viewers know how they can enable translation on their devices. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, we still don't know what Robert's saying, even if it's in Spanish. And we'll have feedback all day. Hi. Brian, Mama, Occupy Denver. Hi, I'm Kelly. Nice to meet you. What station are you with? Fantastic. We have a whole list of things going on all week long. Very good. Okay. Yes. We've been doing Zoom for 2 years, folks.
My name is Sam. I'm here with the community language club, and I'm here with my associate today. In instruction, that is named for the way the rest of the public Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sam. The second Monday of most months, Denver City Council, in partnership with Arts and Venues, celebrates our exciting cultural and creative sector by featuring the talented artists and cultural organizations that make our city great. Bryce Mayuro is a poet and storyteller from Lakewood, Colorado. He is the editor-in-chief of South Broadway Press. They are currently working on an anthology to raise funds for an immigrant and refugee live, work, and learn center in Aurora, Colorado. His poetry has been published by the Denver Post, Boulder Weekly, and Toga. He has authored 2 collections of poetry, Hero, Victim, Villain, and Stupid Flowers. Please help us welcome Bryce Mayuro.
Thank you. I'm feeling a lot right now, having witnessed the public comment tonight. And I think before I share my poem, it's important I lay witness to what I saw during that public comment. I heard again and again that we continue to not take care of the citizens in our city who need the most support. And then when those citizens needed more time and space to discuss what was important to them, and stood up for what they believed in, I witnessed all but one of our city council members leave the room. Once they came to see Bobby's day, I wasn't surprised she stayed. And she listened, she facilitated. There were wonderful conversations that happened, important conversations. Those conversations were homelessness, I think was experienced, Denver homeless out loud was well represented in the room. So I feel like I'm in good company, and I feel like that was really the poem. And what I'm sharing is just reiterating in some degree, in small degree, and I hope echoing and raising awareness to what other people are saying better than I'm saying myself. This is a poem called Places Where Nobody Lives. There's a bungalow just 1 block north of Colfax Avenue, with hardwood floors, a new fence, a beautiful garden space, and off-street parking, and nobody lives there. There is a closed-down shop with big, wide glass windows, a brand-new swamp cooler, and a fridge big enough to hold a feast through a brutal winter. It closed down months ago, years ago, and nobody lives there. There's a motel off of Colorado Boulevard with halls and halls of doorways, that leave the rooms that used to host beds, where water ran from the faucets and heat pushed out from the vents, and nobody lives there. There is a Capitol where there used to be a hill, voices echo in its halls, and when its politicians and their keepers call it a night, it's ghost quiet. It's ghost quiet like it's murmured, because nobody lives there. There is a church that can learn to speak sanctuary, where the sermons sing of nourishment, but the kitchen is as hungry as the sidewalk outside, because nobody eats there. There is a border, una frontera, where a river once rested its bed. It is lined with crosses that have lost their arms. Its silence is far too loud to sleep in. There is a seat at a table, a lot where the light shines down on nothing, a park where you cannot park. There is so much unoccupied space in the overblown American heart, and nobody lives there. Thank you.
My battery's dead. Goodbye.